Hi, my name is Jesse Green. I'm a teacher at Tantascwa Junior High, 7th grade, and I'm here with my colleague, Kistin Daley, and a former student, Lily Audette. And together we've been working on the American Chestnut Project at our school, and we're here today to get you excited about maybe joining in with our project if you are a resident of Monson or any of the surrounding towns. So if you haven't been part of any of the events that have occurred so far over the past 2 months, here's a little history so that you can understand where the project is coming from. So aside from being one of the biggest trees in the forest, the American chestnut tree is really one of the most useful trees that we've had in our history in the Northeast United States. The wood is rot resistant. It's very useful because of that for building barn frames and houses, fences, railroad ties, telephone poles. People used to make furniture from it, and also it was very useful for the food value. So people would feed it to their farm animals, eat it themselves, and also it was very good for wildlife. You might have heard of the American chestnut before. It made it into a famous Christmas song, chestnuts roasting over an open fire, and we have chestnut streets all over in almost every town. But what you won't find in every town anymore is large American chestnut trees. In the early 1900s, those trees were killed off by a blight fungus that was imported here from an Asian country. And over the course of 50 years, the trees died. But they're actually still alive, which you'll learn about a little bit more in another segment. Since the demise of the tree, about 100 years ago is when it started, people have been working to try to bring it back. For the past 35 years, the American Chestnut Foundation has been working to breed a tree that is resistant to the fungus that harms it. In 2016, along with a lot of other people working on this, the Tantascwa school system started a project called the Tantascwa Chestnut Project. And in our project, we are we're building on the work of the American Chestnut Foundation to breed a blight-resistant tree that is also adapted to the climate of New England and the Northeast United States. And since we've started that, just this year, the town of Monson is also joining in on the project because they are going to host in Monson's Flynt Park one of the first restoration chestnut forests in the Northeast United States. So now I'm going to turn it over to Lily, who is a 9th grade student at Tantascwa High School. She started working in this project at our school when she was in 7th grade and has been at it ever since. And she's going to give you an update on the project the event that we did in May, where people from Monson and surrounding towns had their first chance to join in on making history in restoring a forest to the slopes of Mount Ella.
Thank you, Mr. Green. In early May, the Tantascwa Chestnut Association led a guided hike up Mount Ella in Flynt Park. They learned some of the park history and how to identify a native chestnut in the wintertime. Chestnuts, without their leaves, may be difficult to identify. One key factor of learning about the chestnut is the blight. A chestnut can be easily identified by the blight fungus that grows on most sprouts. The blight is an airborne fungus that gets into the bark and cuts off the flow of water and nutrients from the tree, preventing it from growing to the tall height it once was, leaving only small sprouts, usually stemming 3 or 4 from the roots. That is how a chestnut can be identified. The group that hiked up the mountain in early May pruned to prepare for the next event coming in June. The pruning consisted of chopping off chestnut limbs that were infected with the blight and other trees that would outgrow and overshadow the chestnuts. Now to you, Miss Daley.
Thanks, Lily. So we'd like to invite everybody up for a second event, which is on June 2nd. People can come for a guided hike at 1 or 3, and they can meet up in the parking lot up by the playground. If you'd rather do your own self-guided hike, that could be anytime between 1 and 5. And while you're up there, you'll be able to see native chestnuts. We're going to be able to have some plants for everyone to plant. There might be as like a starter plant like this, or you might be planting them right from seeds. But it should be a fun event that everybody can get their hands a little bit dirty and help out with this project.
If you'd like to learn a little bit more about the American chestnut and the story behind the troubles that it's had over time, along with these hands-on events and hikes where you get to plant trees, the Monson Library is also hosting a community read. So over the course of this growing season, there's going to be 3 books that you can join in with your neighbors and read to learn more about the American chestnut. The first 2 books are going to be read at the same time, and in July, this coming July, there will be a book talk hosted by the Monson Library. And so as long as you have the book finished being read by July, then you should be all set to participate in that book talk. It's pretty neat. We have one book is primarily for middle level readers, so middle school age. It details the story of the American chestnut, how it died, and also how it is slated to have a rebirth in our country. And the reading level of this book is easy enough for anyone in a middle level, as a middle level reader. There's lots of nice pictures in here, photographs, black and whites and colors to go along with it. And so if you want a little bit of a lighter reading of the story of the chestnut tree, this book called Champion is the one for you. The other book, it's very similar, although it goes into much greater detail about the backstory of the people involved in starting the initiative to save the tree. And really this backstory goes all the way back to the very beginning. This book is called American Chestnut, The Life, Death, and Rebirth of a Perfect Tree. And if you are interested in reading these books, you can go to the Monson Library website, where there's a link to the Monson Chestnut Project website, where you can find out more about the author and how to get a hold of this book. Thank you very much for having an interest in our project, and we hope that this gives you the inspiration to get involved and join our June 2nd event to plant some trees and hike on Mount Ella in Munson's Flynt Park, and also to maybe read a book about it. Don't hesitate to visit our website and keep an eye on M-PACT for any future event dates that will be running from now all the way through October.